For decades, the global establishment relied on a simple equation: massive wealth and military scale equaled total security. But that equation has recently been upended. A regional power with an economy smaller than Greece has successfully reshaped the risk calculus of the entire global shipping industry. The mechanism is the use of cheap drones and missiles to weaponize global choke points, like the vital Strait of Hormuz. In the Red Sea, Houthi attacks drove war risk premiums on a single ship toward $1 million, forcing most major carriers to abandon the Suez Canal for nearly 2 years. This forced routing around the Cape of Good Hope added 2 weeks to every journey and tacked hundreds of dollars in surcharges onto every 40-foot container. These aren't isolated incidents. They reveal a central shift in modern power. Size and wealth no longer guarantee a position of strength. To understand how we got here, we have to look back at the post-Cold War era, when the world operated on a specific assumption. We believed that an open economy was a global public good, that shared dependencies were a source of stability that protected everyone. But as the geopolitical landscape shifted, those assumptions of shared benefit and mutual safety quietly collapsed. We are living in the age of asymmetry. It's a period where power flows not from size, but from the ability to convert a structural imbalance into weaponized leverage. This shift is most visible at the operational layer, where the very nature of conflict has tilted to favor the disruptor. We are seeing a complete inversion of cost. High-end defensive systems are now being neutralized by tools that cost a fraction of the price to produce. On the battlefield, Ukrainian forces are using drones that cost a few $1,000s to destroy Russian heavy material worth millions. This logic extends to the digital world. The emergence of low-cost, sophisticated AI models means a lone hacker can now possess the capabilities required to overpower the most expensive corporate cyber defenses. In this environment, having a massive budget and a large physical footprint doesn't make you safe. It just makes you a bigger target. Beyond the battlefield, leverage is also being built into the physical and financial systems that keep the world running. This is the infrastructural layer, where power is gained by controlling the narrow choke points that every other actor depends on. In Taiwan, a few square miles of facilities produce 90% of the world's leading-edge semiconductors. Without this single location, Apple, NVIDIA, and the operational capacity of several militaries would effectively cease to function. We see it in raw materials, too. China refines roughly 90% of the world's rare earths. When Beijing changed its licensing regime, U.S. defense giants like Raytheon were left scrambling to find materials for their missiles. Even finance is a choke point. The 2022 sanctions on Russia demonstrated how the architecture of the U.S. dollar can be used to reach across borders and sever an entire economy from the global grid. Global infrastructure is deeply uneven. In this era, absolute power belongs to whoever holds the bottleneck. There is one final, hidden layer that determines who can actually use this leverage: the political layer. Strategic competition is no longer just about resources, it's about stamina, and authoritarian systems possess a structural advantage here. Because they are insulated from domestic political costs, regimes like China and Russia can spend decades building infrastructural chokeholds to use as instruments of pressure. Democracies, by contrast, are locked into short-term electoral cycles. This makes it difficult to sustain a consistent strategic posture or absorb the economic pain required to build long-term resilience. Operational tools and infrastructural bottlenecks are only effective if a government has the political will and the endurance to stay the course. This new reality is forcing the global economy to change its definition of resilience. The focus has shifted from geographic reach towards sovereign control. Major corporations and investment funds are now acting like paranoid nation-states, desperately trying to insulate themselves from external vulnerabilities. Look at Apple. The company is pivoting sharply away from its Chinese-built supply chains, with plans to produce the majority of US-bound iPhones in India. We see the same instinct in finance. Pension funds in Denmark and Sweden have recently sold off tens of billions in US treasuries, citing the growing unpredictability of American policy. Across every sector, the core objective has changed. Success is no longer about maximizing global integration. It's about minimizing exposure to other people's leverage. In this age, the mandate for survival is clear: prioritize sovereign needs over global efficiency. This requires increasing self-reliance, hardening your supply chains against external pressure, and wielding your own asymmetric advantages, whether that's proprietary technology or control over critical inputs. By adopting these protective measures, companies and institutions are following the lead of highly self-reliant states like Singapore and Canada. They recognize that in a world of imbalance, the most dangerous vulnerability is the one you haven't yet learned.